Namaste, and welcome to our continuing series, Explorations in Savitri, with our beloved Alok. We continue in Book 3, the Book of the Divine Mother, Canto 4, The Vision and the Boon. And I believe we are still on the last line of 344, page 344.
Right. So as we have been seeing that while we as human beings try to change the world by outer means, machineries, rules, regulations, systems, governments, and so on and so forth, the divine changes by changing the DNA. So that's his way. So always in every time there is a divine advent, you will see that there are representatives of the old consciousness who work in a certain way. It's not about it being good or bad. Something which was good in its own time, when its time is over, that's what is called as dharma siglani. It was good in its own time, but it loses its relevance, significance, becomes dated, stifles the further growth of mankind. So that's when something new comes, and this new comes in the form of children. So in every age, you see the age of the Krishna stories. Who are Krishna's actual friends? Those ordinary, so-called ordinary Gwalbal. They become his, because they are embodying a new way of life, a new states of consciousness. Even the Pandava brothers, and this is the battle always between the old and the new. But now these children have to come who will embody a new state of consciousness. So we come back for a moment on the word amber, which we had yesterday. So amber also conveys, if you see the color, it's yellow with a touch of brown. So I went back to what Nalnida has spoken about it. So he speaks about yellow. Of course, he speaks about coming right down to the subtle physical, where they are waiting. Again, it's a waiting. They are waiting to be born. But there is another sense of the word amber, if we look into Sri Aurobindo's visions, colors and visions. So yellow, which starts from the illumined mind onwards and climbs right up to the supramental gold. So these are again children who are beings who have waited from centuries. They have been staying in the higher states of consciousness. They have arrived there by previous yoga and have been waiting for this moment to come down upon earth.
I'll read the 3 lines with the amber.
Yeah.
I saw the omnipotent's flaming pioneers over the heavenly verge which turns towards life, come crowding down the amber stairs of birth.
There is another beautiful thing we will notice right through in Sri Aurobindo's writings, especially in his poetry, that there is a consistency of colors and the mood, what he's describing. So here we will see number of references to fire and the color of fire, whether it's amber or the fire within them, the Dionysian cup of joy and the mystic fire, fiery floods. So all through you will see that there is a link to fire, and fire is the one which builds the form. So these are children who are going to come. Sometimes I say that imagine one of the old time sadhaks, Dyuman Bhai, many of us of course must have met him, wonderful person. He was also one of the trustees, very unassuming person, and he knew literally his time of death. It is said that he had the gift of Ikshamrityu. It's quite likely given the way he left his body. So Dyuman Bhai, when somebody asked him during the last few days, he said, yes, I'll go, but I'll come back soon. Now sometimes I wonder, to do her work. Now sometimes I wonder when a person who has developed to that extent, with that kind of consciousness. Imagine Amrita, who left his body in 60s, but at 14 he had recognized that the divinity of Sri Aurobindo and he had foreseen the coming of the avatar. Now at 14, what kind of exceptional children, they were. Now, obviously they are not going to rest. He is the person about whom mother said he was the first and the last manager of the ashram. There is no other manager who is going to be known as manager of the ashram, when somebody asked her. Now, when these children are born again, what a tough time the parents are going to have. That's what I wonder. Because they are not going to be put into any frames. They are so liberated inside. So these are the children who are going to come, going to give a very tough time to the parent. This is exactly what the mother spoke to Udar when he asked mother about these children. That's when she said the children born after the supramental manifestation and especially after 1967 are very special, especially to the devotees. That also she mentioned. And then she says, however, you must know and understand that it will be very difficult to bring up these children. They are not going to follow norms and conventions because they have come with their own inner law. It's like a chimpanzee bringing up a human child. So it's that the difference is going to be like that. The difference in consciousness. And it will be very difficult for the parents to understand. We are not addressing this issue at all. I've been to so many places, schools and colleges, and all this discussion takes place, methods of teaching, but they are all outdated. And mother spoke about it that nothing is going to work which belongs to the old way. You may have seminars and workshops, it won't work. Because they are different children. You don't teach a human child the way you teach a monkey. It just won't work. So we have to discover the new way, and the only way we can discover the new way is by becoming the new way. Otherwise, there is no other way.
This morning I was behind Uday and Priya and their little daughter Rishika on the way to darshan. And that little one was endless energy. She went all around and found every flower on the ground, collected it. Then, when we entered Mother's salon, she would touch each photo to her head. And then she touched the chair and they scolded her like anything. Didn't bother her at all. She went right on and touched something else.
Because they feel so close, intimate. They don't feel the distance that we create. Oh, mother is there, like some mother superior sitting out there, and we have to be full of that awe. They don't feel. They feel intimate. They feel that kind of,
Yes.
Now, what happens is, now these children are going to come. Sri Aurobindo has foreseen. But when these children are going to come, there has to be the mother who is going to handle these children. So that's where now we are going to read Ashupati invoking the Divine Mother to come down, because he has foreseen this coming. And they can come only when, without the mother, there is no child. Only when the mother takes a human body, that these children can come down quite naturally, drawn in the wake of the divine advent. And that's what we are going to read, very powerful lines. Heavy, unchanged, weighs still the imperfect world. And again, this is the beauty of Sri Aurobindo, his compassion. No one has thought about the world, felt about the world in this way. He doesn't belong to just a limited set of human beings called his disciples and devotees. He belongs to the whole humanity he is aspiring for. The splendid youth of time has passed and failed. Heavy and long are the years our labor counts, and still the seals are firm upon man's soul, and weary is the ancient mother's heart. Ancient mother is Mother Earth. She is waiting. Some children out of my womb will be born who will change me, who will understand what I am aspiring for. She is waiting. So she is tired. At one place he says, ancient and weary and invincible. Still she doesn't give up.
Yes.
When he talks about Mother Earth.
Yes.
So she is waiting, Mother Earth, that one day these children will be born. So ancient mother is waiting. And now comes these magical lines which to my sense of both hearing and understanding and reading surpass anything you can find in any of the Upanishads. And I am saying this because, with full responsibility, and I feel it's important to bring that out. One of the most musical Upanishads, for example, is the Isha Upanishad. If you go through it, so musical. Even the cane there are passages which have wonderful rhythm in it. But look at now this passage, surpasses anything that one may have. In fact, Isha Upanishad has those lines almost from where this begins. Hiranmayena patrena satyasya pihitam mukham Tattvam Pushanya Pavranu Satya Dharmaya Drishte. So the Rishi is aspiring, Yagnaval, that, O truth, defended in thy secret son. The law of truth. Defended, guarded, hidden behind the face of sun, golden lid. Reveal you thyself, because we want to know what is the way to live upon earth. It's a very practical line. I want to know what does truth want from us, Satya Dharma, not what my parents, my society, my people, that wants. What does truth want of me? Satya Dharma. Now you see it starts from there. O truth, defended in thy secret sun, voice of a mighty musings in shut heavens, on things withdrawn within her luminous depths. O wisdom's splendor, mother of the universe, creatrix, the eternal's artist bride, linger not long with thy transmuting hand, pressed vainly on one golden bar of time, as if time dare not open its heart to God. Now you see what plane it has gone to. He's not just asking for me, tell me the law of truth. He's saying, come down and change this world into the law of truth. Look at the wideness of the fire. It's not just a little aspiration going up. It is an inferno. The whole earth, as if is aspiring through Ashupati, come down and change. We read about this in the Puranas, that the earth goes and prays to the Lord. Please come down and change this earth. It's there in every avatar. This is the beginning. And that story is coming here in this way. Now, but how does the earth go? He is embodying the anguish of the earth and the aspiration. And he's saying, come down, because nothing is impossible for you. And this is something to always remember. And Sri Aurobindo several times says, there is nothing which is impossible for the Divine Mother. It is we who are so limited in our receptivity, in our faith, in our trust. But there is nothing impossible, and once she gives the sanction, the Mother, chapter 3, where he says, for the grace of the Divine Mother is nothing else the fiat of the Supreme. And now or tomorrow its effect is inevitable. Nothing can stop it. So he is calling the intervention of the Divine Mother that's been long. You only can come and break the seal, because she has said it will happen, but after long passage of time. So he is saying, but what is time? Time is your slave. Of course you can compress it. So that's what he is calling her. O radiant fountain of the world's delight, world free and unattainable above. O bliss who ever dwellest deep hid within, while men seek the outside and never find. Touch of the Divine Mother, which gives source of all joy. She says in one of her prayers, I think it's the second last prayer, 28 December, or probably in the prayers and meditation, where she says there is a power which you cannot find anywhere. There is a thirst for love which cannot be quenched in any way. There is a peace that one finds nowhere, not even in death. And it goes on like that. There is a knowledge that no philosophy can possess. And that at the end says it is the power, the knowledge, the love, the bliss that flow from the divine grace. So he is asking for the intervention of grace and that bliss which is hid deep within. In Kathopanishad, when Nachiketa asks Yama, tell me the secret of immortality. So he gives many hints. But one of the sweetest hints is says, there is Aditi seated in your heart. This is that thou seekest. He says, if you find her, immortality and everything else is there quite naturally. He says, there is Aditi seated in your heart. This is that thou seekest. And here he is saying, O bliss, who ever dwellest deep hid within. So many ways he is describing the Divine Mother.
But men seek the
outside and never find. Even physical manifestation of Divine Mother. She has said several times, you think I am this? Very relevant to 17th November. You think I am this? Because people used to feel somebody who is physically meeting her more often is more close to her. Human mind. Now we have another way. Those who are living in Pondicherry are closer to her. There also have gradations. Those who are working near the Samadhi or inside mother's home, they are God's own blessed children. Whereas mother kept clarifying repeatedly, and who knows, the more difficult cases are kept more near to the physician.
Very often.
Maheshwari ji used to say this. Once he said half jokingly and half seriously. I had just started coming to ashram, and he said, people think that we are here because of something special. He said, we are here because of a special difficulty. So I didn't understand what is meant, but over a period of time, and then mother herself said, each one of you represents impossibility first, he said, then she said difficulty.
Be worked out.
Worked out.
Yeah.
So at one level, it's something wonderful, because each one of us bears the cross, and we have come here for it to be resolved. But at the same time, the real nearness is within. Even when somebody said, I saw the mother in dream. So Sri Aurobindo says, it is not enough to see the mother in dream. You must see her within in your heart and feel her inside. This is the real thing. So he is revealing that thou art hidden inside man, but man is seeking you outside and never finds. Naturally. World free, look at this line, world free and unattainable above. No amount of tapasya. The last thing about all our human efforts put together is actually nothing. Today only morning I was discussing, look at human effort. Oh, some human being is sitting, doing meditation, doing nishkam karma, seva, remember and offer, all this. Now, what are you trying to come in contact with? We just imagine the material universe and the power and knowledge which is behind it. This is just one material universe. The vital universe, the mental universe, and they are still in ignorance. And the supreme power which is beyond it. This little human consciousness is trying to come in contact with that. Through some 1 hour of meditation and nishkam karma. It is good, it should be done. But ultimately it is grace. And in the last analysis one finds any amount of human effort, ultimately it is grace, because she is unattainable above. World free. None of the world's processes through which you can really reach her. World free.
There's that story about the fellow who goes around asking everyone,
Yeah.
have you seen God? Have you seen God? Have you seen God? And then one day he realizes, he was here and I knew him not.
Yes. So, this world free also reminds me of the anecdote. Everyone, we are aware that mother wrote in her diary what she experienced when she saw Sri Aurobindo. Very well known. So Sri Aurobindo was asked, what did he experience? Because he didn't note it in his diary. What did you experience when you saw the mother? Yes. Marinda, his brother asked him. So Sri Aurobindo said, Mira is born free. She is free. She is free from very birth. She has no need to take this bondage. She is born free. So,
he also said he had never seen anyone
surrender so completely, right down to the physical cells of the body, and therefore he knew that the time has come for the life divine to be established upon earth. But this is the precondition. A complete surrender right from the highest heights to the smallest cell. Mother describes it very differently with all her humility. She says, when I came to India, I had a bag full of, not bag full, plenty of experiences. She was an adept in Buddhist yoga. She had perfected the yoga of the Gita. She had the experience of the yoga Kundalini awakening to its utmost. And when she read Swami Vivekananda's book on Raj Yoga, she said, oh, there is somebody who can explain all this. She had all these experiences. And many more. She describes some of them in prayers and meditations. And when she came here, she knew that the work is now in matter. So she just renounced everything. And then she says, then I learned what is known in India as renouncing your siddhis and experiences. See, it is easy to renounce this mud of which we are made and make big thought about renunciation. I always feel, it is really absurd When people say, oh, sometimes they have asked me also, you've renounced world. I say, no, no, I'm in heaven. What renounced? How can you say when you have left something much inferior for something far superior and you say you have renounced? It's absurd. This is not renunciation. Renunciation is what she has made. That she has renounced all the glorious liberties of heaven and come down, touch this space. This is renunciation. Mystery and muse with heretic tongue, incarnate the white passion of thy force, mission to earth some living form of thee. One moment fill with thy eternity. It's enough. Divine does not need to. Actually, this is a very interesting question Sri Aurobindo raises in Essays on the Gita. That, things like social change and intellectual change, change in even working of governments and humanity, divine need not come down. He can do it right from within. So why does he come down? She says every time he comes, it is to transform matter. The whole problem lies there and the secret lies there. That's why he takes a human body. Otherwise, he can do everything. So that's where he speaks about that come down, incarnate. Otherwise, there is no need to incarnate. In fact, his vibhutis will do. Look at, in the Indian context, we use the word vibhutis. It's there in Western context, but we don't use the word vibhuti there. Now look at entire Mughal Empire. When the time came, all that you needed was two great beings who were open to the influx of Ma Bhavani. Shivaji on this side and Guru Gobind Singh on the other side. That was enough. A whole Mughal Empire is gone. So these kind of things, the divine need not come down. But when it is a working on matter and transformation of matter, the real difficulty, that's when he comes. One moment filled with thy eternity. That's enough. It will have repercussions for ages to come. Let thy infinity in one body live. All knowledge wrap one mind in seas of light. All love throbs single in one human heart. Several times the mother speaks of this infinity inside her. And it was so difficult. She says sometimes, toward the later part, incidentally, she says they are saying I am growing old, but I feel much more powerful. I can see with much greater clarity. Actually, she was transiting from the old body into the new one. If you really read through the agenda, it's very clear. So she was transiting and people were seeing the outer body and they felt that all that she is saying and doing is from the outer. And with, of course, she is the Divine Mother, something within. But she had already started developing the supramental senses, right, expressing them. And she says that they think that I don't know anything. But I am much more aware. But they are seeing only the outer body. So this body was being used for the transmutation. And as I keep, this is my personal revelation, one may say. One may share it or not because there are a number of opinions and viewpoints. Each has its own, truth behind it, relative truth. My own view is this is not a day of Mahasamadhi, it's the day of transmutation. This is the day when Mother plunged into the blindest alley of death and emerged through the other end in a victorious way. This she had started in 1962. 1962 onwards, Mother says, there is a very interesting conversation. Another way to die. She speaks of that. Then when she speaks about death, she says, now I can say it because now I am on the other side. I can see it from the side of death. Because she had already gone into that realm. After 62, when she stopped coming down, that's when, after that, the mother did not come down. She would give the balcony darshan. So that's why you see two balconies. One is the previous one and the second one when higher at the second floor level. And she didn't come down and she completely stayed there because the yoga of the cells was going on. So all her conversations are now from the other side. She's going deeper and deeper. And as she went further and further, bearing all the pains of that darkness and inconscient, alive. See, this was the difference. Sri Aurobindo absorbed all this pain of the inconscient, and the material body broke. And as a result of that, the supermind, first time the descent took place was on 5th December in matter. 29th February is the manifestation. But the descent first time in matter is on 5th December. But the challenge before mother was that the body should not break and she has to continue. And Sri Aurobindo had foreseen it, and that's why he said, your body is more prepared than mine. Otherwise, everything else was same. Same experience.
Mother also speaks about how thin this line is. When she's this way, there's extreme pain.
Yes.
When she's a
Yes.
little bit this way, there's all the glory
all
and
the
beauty.
glory. She was on that edge which you were mentioning.
Yes.
And then so this passage went on and on and on till finally, see, there is the other end from which you emerge. And it's such a glory of glories, and human vision has to adjust and accommodate. I think the first time that she is revealed to one of these sadhaks is within 2 days, when I think it was Amal Kiran's wife, if I'm not mistaken. She was sitting and meditating, feeling very sad. I think it was 20th November, around that time. And suddenly she sees the mother. She says, why are you saying? I'm here. I'm right there. Just the same. Same thing Nalnida recounts in a vision in 1974. Then we see Champak Lal and many others having, experiences of this kind of the golden body. And I'm sure humanity is now, because he has gone far ahead, 10,000 years ahead. So we have to catch up. But she's right there. They could have done this process earlier also. But then the gap would have been too big. That's what they mentioned, that we had to carry humanity together, because had we transformed our body, there would have been no connect. There was no way that human consciousness would have been able to connect with our body. How much does an ant connect with a human being? It can bite, of course. That's a different story. We too can trouble the divine with all our nonsensical things. But after all, it's a glory of glory. So now what will happen is the human eyes, the human system, because not just the eyes, the entire system has to learn to adapt to this tremendous consciousness. Otherwise, it will just break down. This is the same reason why God doesn't give his vision to anyone and everyone all the time. After all, he is the only reality. Why should he hide? He doesn't want to hide. The problem is, actually he doesn't hide in a certain sense. The problem is that our eyes and our consciousness is not ready to behold. But now the same process has happened even at the material level. Still, our matter has to go further. This is something very similar which Amal Kiran also wrote in one of his essays. Maybe a couple of 100 years, and already human eyes and vision, this is going to change. Our consciousness will change, the organs will change, and then that touch will feel more and more in the body. Not just inside, but also in the body. So this is the great process. And look at all knowledge. At one place, Nalnida, says, mother once told me when she had come in the beginning. She told him, I have read all the philosophies, and at one point of time, very modestly. And then Nalnida reminds that, he reminiscences, and she says, actually it was her humblest way of telling me not to have intellectual pride. Because Nalnida had a turn towards knowledge. So she just gently said, I have read all these things. If you read some of her writing, conversations, words of long ago.
Oh, yes.
Suddenly it's like mind-blowing, some of them. Abstruse problems, and how she has... it's only somebody who is completely crystal clear about these things that you can give a key like that. And she had to keep aside all that, because it's not through the pride of the intellect. So she tells him gently, and he understood. He says, yes, it was her way of pointing out. So all knowledge, and we know her love, of course, all love throbs single in one human heart. Another place in Savitri, the whole wide world could take refuge in her single heart. When people wanted to come to Pondicherry, our Ravindraji's family, so Ravindraji was the person giving work to everyone, very close to mother. And he asked mother, my family now wants to come. What do I do? Dilemma, because he had left everyone and come. So mother didn't say that, cut your connection, you have, detachment, none of those things. She says, my child, I would like to accommodate the whole world in Pondicherry. Look at the answer. But since our means are limited, that is our problem. But we hope that one day as many people could come and find. And in her own way, she is taking care of everyone. So, what a heart it is. Even the dog, the cats, the Buddha, the donkey, the monkey, the ape,
The crow.
thought,
The crow.
the crow, the squirrel, the lizard. Who didn't find refuge with her? And she would say, I am the mother. The crow won't eat from Champaklalji because one day mother didn't come out to give him. Yeah, every day, Blackie. His name was Blackie.
Yes.
So she would come out and feed him every day. She has, you see, by calling him Blackie, this is the initiation of anti-racism. Divine Mother's favorite. I would like to be called Blackie. The name would resonate with somebody whom mother fed with her own hands. And one day the mother, was busy or probably, she was not coming out. So Champaklalji, as the most obedient child of the mother, took the bread and went. No, the crow didn't eat. What a faithful crow. And how stupid human beings that we sacrifice our pot of birthright for a pot of porridge. That story of Bible. We so readily give away our birthright for a pot of porridge. This is what mother has described this story. So such is the love she would bring. Immortal, treading the earth with mortal feet. All heaven's beauty crowd in earthly limbs. This is beyond imagination. Surendranath Jauhar, Taraji's father, when he came, and first time he had a glimpse of her, his instant reaction was, oh, I have never seen such a beauty anywhere. So different beings have perceived her. So she came in all her radiant splendor of beauty. Omnipotence, girdle with the power of God, movements and moments of a mortal will, pack with the eternal might one human hour, and with one gesture change all future time. So this one human hour, earthly life, 100 years, she has done it, changed it. Now everything is set and it's just going to go on. All that we need to do is now grow more and more sincere. See, another way to look at it is very simply, why did Sri Krishna leave all the gopis midnight in Vrindavan and went away? Because they were too much holding the body. So it is his departure that created, as Sri Aurobindo says, bhakti. Before that, in the Vedas and Upanishads, you have mainly knowledge. There is hint of bhakti. But bhakti manifested with Krishna. The moment he departed, all those gopis, where is Krishna? So, when the divine seemingly withdraws from the earthly scene, it is so that we can learn to catch him in the true way, and that way is the psychic way. But there is no other way. Now you can't just go in the morning and have a balcony darshan. That's what people were doing. Now you have to have the darshan inside. And it's no more morning 6 o'clock. It can be any time. As he says, Sri Aurobindo is so accessible at the Samadhi that earlier you would write a letter, and though he would act, people were complaining, you have not replied.
Yeah.
1 day has passed. What is the urgency? Urgency? I need a table and the table has not yet come. You need to sanction. I have given a very big comment on somebody's poetry. You need to reply. Urgency. You have a Sunday. That's how disciples wrote. Sri Aurobindo's interesting reply. That, we thought on Sundays you would be little free. Sri Aurobindo says, unfortunately, every disciple thinks that way. So they flood his basket of letters on Sundays, thinking that Sundays will be as if God takes a holiday on Sunday. So that's how. So that 1 hour is enough. Let a great word be spoken from the heights, and one great act unlock the doors of fate. So this is how we have to look at it. Now we have to grow up to that state where we can directly connect. Bridges have been formed from 56 onwards. Many of her conversations, she is speaking of different bridges that she is building between the new consciousness and the human. So these bridges now we have to walk. Shall we read few more lines and stop?
And then I'll
Or
finish. I'll finish
I think then probably, because Brother Narad wants to read something beautiful on this day. So here we'll close for our regular reading.
This is Narad's admonition to Savitri's mother, the queen, because she has asked Savitri to choose another man. This fellow's going to die in 1 year, and what are you going to do? Be a widow or commit sati or whatever? And she goes through argument after argument. And he tells her, Queen, strive no more to change the secret will. Time's accidents are steps in its vast scheme.
This one line is important because people often raise this question about mother's departure. Even yesterday somebody mailed me that was it an accident, was the X responsible, was Y responsible? I said, leave aside whatever you have read or not, just remember it is the Divine Mother whose Leela is going on. Nothing will happen ultimately but what she has not willed. So all these ideas that there was somebody who should have they should have left her body in a cataleptic trance or this trance. Nobody's mind will be inspired to do otherwise because the very source of omnipotence is right there. So,
I'll move on a little bit because it's a long passage. Sometimes one life is charged with earth's destiny. It cries not for succor from the time-bound powers. Alone she is equal to her mighty task. Intervene not in a strife too great for thee, a struggle too deep for mortal thought to sound its question to this nature's rigid bounds, when the soul fronts nude of garbs the infinite. And then these are the last lines that Sri Aurobindo wrote in Savitri.
yes.
As a star, uncompanioned, moves in heaven, unastonished by the immensities of space, traveling infinity by its own light, the great are strongest when they stand alone. A God-given might of being is their force, a ray from self's solitude of light, the guide. The soul that can live alone with itself meets God. Its lonely universe is their rendezvous. A day may come when she must stand unhelped on a dangerous brink of the world's doom and hers, carrying the world's future on her lonely breast, carrying the human hope in a heart left sole to conquer or fail, on a last desperate verge, alone with death and close to extinction's edge. Her single greatness in that last dire scene must cross alone a perilous bridge in time and reach an apex of world destiny where all is won or all is lost for man. In that tremendous silence, lone and lost, of a deciding hour in the world's fate, in her soul's climbing beyond mortal time, when she stands soul with death or soul with God, apart upon a silent, desperate brink, alone with herself and death and destiny, as on some verge between time and timelessness, when being must end or life rebuild its base. Alone she must conquer, or alone must fall. No human aid can reach her in that hour. No armored God stand shining at her side. Cry not to heaven, for she alone can save. For this, the silent force came missioned down. In her, the conscious will took human shape. She only can save herself and save the world. O Queen, stand back from that stupendous scene. Come not between her and her hour of fate. Her hour must come, and none can intervene. Think not to turn her from her heaven-sent task. Strive not to save her from her own high will. Thou hast no place in that tremendous strife. Thy love and longing are not arbiters there. Leave the world's fate and her to God's sole guard. Even if he seems to leave her to her lone strength, even though all falters and falls and sees an end and the heart fails and only are death and night, God-given, her strength can battle against doom, even on a brink where death alone seems close, and no human strength can hinder or can help. Think not to intercede with the hidden will. Intrude not twixt her spirit and its force, but leave her to her mighty self and fate.
Okay. Thank you.
Love the mother. Love her with all your being.